Make me extra long.
Hello and welcome to Candidate Forum 2025. My name is T. Adeyemo. I curate content for ladiescorner.ca, an alternative community-based news outlet. You're watching from our YouTube page at LCC Media 1. You do well to like and subscribe. What is the format for today? First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all the candidates who have showed up on the Sunday afternoon. We know you could be out there knocking doors or having Sunday dinner with your families, but you're here because we all love Edmonton. All right. So you get 2 minutes for your introduction and closing. 2 minutes, and it's a minute to answer questions. I would encourage you to mute yourselves because it's a full studio tonight. Okay, I'm going to mute Andy. All right. And then when you need to speak, you on mute. Thank you so very much. So the first segment is going to go for half an hour, taking care of core business. The second segment is thematic. The third segment, we're encouraging members of the public to ask our candidates questions. So could you encourage your teams, your family and friends to send their questions? And I'm hoping in the final segment, you are able to ask each other questions for clarity. So I'm thinking maybe Umar will want to ask Andy a couple of questions, or Rahim will want to ask Vanessa about identity. I don't know. I'm hoping you guys ask each other questions. So to get us started, and in no particular order, I'm going to exit the screen. Oh dear. I'm going to try to find the best way for this. Okay, maybe this is the best way. We all can see ourselves. We're going to start with the introductory statements. I'm going to walk from my top. I can see Malik Chukwudi first. We're going to do Malik. We're going to do Omar, Olney that way. I've got my producer here because our studio is full. We couldn't get money from the city of Edmonton as sponsors, so we cannot do any more than 10 people in this studio. When it's 2 minutes, you know, that's all you get. All right, Malik, when you're ready.
Well, my name is Malik Chukwudi. I am proud to be from rural Alberta. I'm a father, a geological engineer, as someone who has worked for over 20 plus years in private sector and corporate energy sector, from oil and gas drilling rigs to offshore exploration rigs and coal mining in British Columbia. I've also worked for the city of Edmonton in field operations, infrastructure maintenance. I'm also a union member, a small business owner, and now a candidate for mayor of the city of Edmonton. What sets me apart from the rest of the candidates on the stage is very simple. I am not a career politician, and I don't intend to be one. I've actually done the work and kept the city running. I've trained equipment operators, snowplow operators. I've built roads, bridges, sidewalks. I've maintained drainage, landscaping, and on city properties. I've even dealt with homeless encampments without spending $1.7 million and also not needing the police to intervene. Because I've done all this work, I believe that I am in position for the fact that I understand how the city operates and how the city works to become the next mayor of the city of Edmonton. And the only answer to every issue that is regarding the city is just throw money at it. And we've done a lot of spending, and we haven't gotten anything back for all the money that have been spent within the city of Edmonton. I guess within this segment, we'll be able to go through all that stuff, and then we can see what we can, how we can handle it. Thank you.
Not bad, Malik. You still have 25 seconds left.
Okay. Well, I will serve Edmontonians, and I'll be accountable, transparent, and I'll be hands-on, which is what I've always been since I've joined the city for so many years. And I will also cut waste and bureaucracy, and I will end the use it or lose it culture within the city hall, and also the departments, and we reduce property tax to help working families, seniors, people on fixed income, and small business owners.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Omar, you're up next. Your introduction, 2 minutes.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Dr. Omar Mohammed. I was born and raised right here in Edmonton. My father, he came here as an immigrant, and like many families, we struggled. As a kid, homelessness, I faced food insecurity, I faced racism and discrimination. I've worked as a waiter and a mechanic to pay my way through university and dental school, and I eventually became a pediatric dental surgeon. I built a business and clinic from scratch, and today I'm a proud husband and father of 4, and Edmonton's where my family thrives. My life has been about service, volunteering internationally since 2008, and I've also raised millions for local charitable causes and giving my own time and money to help others. I'm running for mayor because Edmonton's being mismanaged, and I believe our city deserves better. The facts, they don't lie. Edmonton's drowning in $4.6 billion in debt. Homelessness has more than doubled in 2 years. The majority of Edmontonians don't feel safe on public transit. Housing is increasingly out of reach for households making under $63,000 a year. And property taxes are up 22% in 4 years, up 40% if you account for property tax assessment values. Yet services like snow clearing, road repairs, they keep falling short. I feel that career politicians created this mess by chasing flashy mega projects and ignoring true fiscal responsibility. So I'm here to take a different approach. I believe politics should be about service, putting people over projects. We should pause non-essential projects, fix what we have first, live within our means, make transit safe with turnstiles, peace officers, monitoring, end the cycle of homelessness with housing first, which is stable housing plus treatment, and fast track affordable housing. Pretty much it's about building a safer, more affordable, more responsible Edmonton, and a city that truly works for us all. So.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Olney?
Hello, everybody. My name's Olney Tugwell, proud Edmontonian, public servant, and now candidate for mayor of Edmonton. For over 20 years, I've worked at the intersection of government policy, community building, and civic leadership in regards to relationships at the provincial level. Serving on grassroots communities and volunteer boards, my mission has always been clear: ensure every voice in Edmonton is heard and respected. And that's the reason why, foundation of why I'm running. I've worked collaboratively with executive leaders, 5 different governments from across the Alberta Public Service as a probation officer. I've worked with Indigenous communities in rural Alberta as well as surrounding Edmonton. Worked with local leaders as well as Indigenous partners while employed with the government of Alberta. I support evidence-based solutions that strengthen our city. My volunteer work spans social justice, community safety, and anti-racism because I believe leadership starts with service. Now I'm running for mayor to bring transparency, accountability, people-centered leadership to City Hall. I've grown up in Edmonton. I've graduated high school, university, I started my career. And as I speak with Edmontonians, I'm new to the block, but once you're living in the capital city like this, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm very in tune. I'm actually very deeply rooted in this city. I decided to run because I'm not pleased. I believe there's mismanagement. I believe due diligence has not been followed through in regards to, pre-planning. There are situations we're going to cover today, which for me, it's a matter of, those councillors who's been on council for over a decade, like any career. you get jaded. You might get lazy. You might not necessarily follow through with the things that Edmontonians would like you to follow through to based off of comfort level. So I'm coming with new perspective, fresh voice, the voice of Edmontonian. I'm rooted in Edmonton, guided by the voice of Edmontonians, and this is the time, this is the place. So we're all going to discuss our perspectives and views. But with me, you know, I'm very serious about this. I love Edmonton. I have friends and families now. Their kids are beginning to mature, you know, career.
All right, thank you. We got it. We got it.
An issue for our young people. Just let me finish. And
no, 2 minutes is up, Olney. We have a long evening. I'm sorry.
Right.
You know, yeah. I don't mean to be rude, but it's 2 minutes for everybody.
Well, you thought I was Asian, so I just want to be clear and get it all out there so they all know who I am.
Touche. Actually, when you were talking, I remember I've been on your website. Look, I'm doing 12. My friends, I'm doing 12 candidate forums. I remember when you talked about your parole background. I thought, okay. So you're no stranger to me. I thought it was Malik was the only black guy here. And please take it as a compliment. If I thought
I'm bugging you. We gotta stop it. We can't be too serious.
Okay, so when I bring the screen back in like this, it means time is up generally. Otherwise, we'll be here till 10 p.m. on if we're not tight. And you know, Andrew needs to take us out, and you know, team I think Michael. Okay, so let's carry on. All right, Andrew, your turn for your introduction.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by saying thank you to T and everyone involved in organizing today's forum. And I want to recognize the important work that Ladies Corner does to inspire, empower, and amplify the voices of women in our city. Edmonton is growing quickly, and we need to turn that rapid growth into opportunity for everyone. That means great public services that we can count on, with a responsible budget that keeps those services affordable. It means safer communities for families and seniors, where we address serious issues like housing and homelessness head on. And it means a strong economy for our city, one that's ready for the future. That's why I'm running to be your mayor. In my 12 years on city council, I've worked every day to earn the trust of Edmontonians by listening, by showing up, and by delivering real results. I've led important projects like new libraries and recreation centers and more accessible transit. And I've made smart decisions that not only saved taxpayer money, but have protected the public services that we rely on. Today, I want to share with you our vision for a stronger Edmonton, one built together with the people who call it home, one where decisions are made openly and independently, one that always puts you first. Thank you.
That was very well said. Thank you. I think that's Rahim Jafar.
Yeah, Jaffer, please.
Jaffer, I beg your pardon.
No problem. Thank you, T. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for hosting this important town hall. I think it's so important to have this kind of exchange, especially in a healthy democracy. So thank you to you and your group for taking the leadership for doing that. My family first came to Edmonton in the early 70s. We were refugees from East Africa. Our family first settled in Vancouver, and I think coming from East Africa, Vancouver just wasn't cold enough. They wanted the real Canadian experience, so we moved to Edmonton. And Edmonton has been great to us in the years that we've been here. I was actually elected in 1997 as one of the youngest and first ever Muslim MP from Edmonton, of all places. You can imagine a lot of people have different views. And when I met people internationally, I had to tell them, well, Alberta is not as backward as you think. It's open-minded. It supports a lot of people. It supports hard work. And hence my family benefited from that. And I had the pleasure to be able to represent Edmonton Strathcona for almost 12 years. In that time, I worked on a number of different files, including intergovernmental affairs, which I would argue right now is at an all-time low when it comes to our relationship here in the city with the different levels of government. in particular the provincial government, where so much has to happen to put our city on track. And that relationship seems to be very much damaged. After finishing up as an MP, I was able to be a stay-at-home parent with my son, really bonded with him and had a great relationship over about the 5 or 6 years that I was with him. Then I entered back into business as he became in grade school. I started have commercial property on White Avenue, but I also took over my restaurant from my parents, who ran it for almost 18 years. They wanted to retire, and so I wanted them to retire comfortably. I hadn't planned to stay in it as long as I have, but with circumstances around COVID and a number of other issues facing businesses, I had to hang on to it because I didn't want the lights to go dark in one of our rental spaces. That's when I started to see huge problems in this city when it come to creating environment for businesses to succeed. We've failed miserably. We seem to have moved away from the days where this city was on fire economically and there was so much happening. Instead, we put barriers up for business, cause more issues for business, and not to mention the crime that businesses have to deal with, property damage, so many other issues. I'd like to get into more detail during the debate, but that's some of the reasons why I got involved in this election.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. All right, we got Andy next. Andy, you need to unmute.
Yeah, I'm supposed to do something.
Okay, yeah, it's your time for your introduction, sir.
Yes. My name is Andy Andrzej Gudanowski. Probably some of you colleagues know me already. Oh, now I see myself. Probably one of you already knows me. Last 14 years, I spent it as a candidate with my team and ran every possible election in this town. I create wonderful programs, but we know people decided and God decided if somebody is elected or not. In my life, I'm just retired. In my life, I just finished high school. And then on level college, I finished in, for example, one of them was institute in Marine Institute in Vancouver. I have diploma ship security officer. I also have the diploma of one of the police academy was when I was in US, I finished. Generally, all my knowledge is based on law, medical, and Roman Catholic knowledge. So again, when I look on the coming election, I discover just few of us dedicate themselves for this city, for this country, for this province. So I have no choice. I need to move again because my Christian faith is telling me when you finish 45 years old, rest of your life, dedicate to the community. Work hard, make their life better. Take care of women, children, businesses, make them place to stay, bring them good food and all kind things. So for a bunch of years, I tried to win some of election. I was not lucky. Then I tried to meet some of the colleagues. It's so difficult to meet my colleagues who've been elected. Practically, they never have time to meet me. So they give me example, they don't have a time for the people. So I decided to change everything. For almost 14 years, I make experiment. I work on reason why in Edmonton is so little candidates all the time and why people after election practically not voting. In my last provincial election, on 45,000 people, 33,000 don't even go to vote. No, we need to change this. We need to change. Only we can do this.
All right.
No,
thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much. We need to change a lot of things in the city, no doubt. Mr. Cartmell.
Take action, not talk, action.
All right. We'll let Tim speak. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Cartmell. And while we're virtual, I'd still like to recognize that the land on which this debate is taking place is part of Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting ground and gathering place for various Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, the Saulteaux, the Blackfoot, the Métis, the Dene, and the Nakota Sioux. It's also one of the places of the largest concentrations of Inuit in Canada and considered the homeland of the Métis people. I was born and raised in Edmonton. So is my wife, Kathy. Edmonton is where we started our businesses, where we raised our kids, and where we built our lives. This city gave my family everything. And now it's my turn to give back. Edmonton is at a crossroads. You feel it. I feel it. We're frustrated by wasted tax dollars, missed deadlines, and the feeling that our streets aren't as safe as they used to be. It doesn't have to be this way. I'm not here to be a one-man show. I have built a Better Edmonton team of candidates who share my values, who've been working together for months, ready to get started on day one. Because you can't win a hockey game with one player. You need a team that knows where each other will be before the puck even drops. As a two-term city councillor and engineer, I work with integrity, spend wisely, and build things that last. Edmonton's next chapter starts with leadership that's ready, a plan that works, and a team that can deliver. That's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have Micheal next.
Thank you, T. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'd also like to recognize that we are here today on Treaty 6 territory. Thank you to all my fellow candidates here today. Already we hear the richness of the ideas and the passion for our city from each of you. I'm grateful to be here among you. I've lived here in the city for over 30 years, where I, with my wife, Kara, have raised our two sons and have been a proud part of this community and an involved member of this community for a long, long time. My great-grandfather actually was the first to come to Edmonton in the early 1900s, where he was an original city builder, made sacrifices for my family and the family that I now raise here in Edmonton. You know, our city has grown by more than 150,000 people since I last served on council in 2021. Our economy is soaring, and we should really be on top of the world as a city, but we feel a bit wobbly. We know that we want Edmonton to be a safe city. We want Edmonton to be an affordable city, and we want Edmonton to be a vibrant city. And we need to make progress on very important issues that I know our city struggles with today, like homelessness, namely. We need to attract investment so we can be more competitive than our surrounding neighbor municipalities. And we need to protect our seniors and our families who are struggling with affordability issues. This is the kind of city that I want to lead, a city that has the room and the ability to invest in important services and the important amenities that Edmontonians deserve. And I'm here because we need change, and I have the experience in municipal government to bring that change. I know Edmonton, and I have proven in the past that I can deliver. We need experienced, strong, and collaborative leadership on day one of the next term. I collaborate and bring people together. This is my very favorite thing to do, is to work across all kinds of partisan lines to bring people to a place of the common ground. I lead, I ask tough questions, and I act. My passion, experience, and commitment to collaborative government, that's the change Edmonton needs right now. So thanks for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you very much, Micheal. Vanessa, please.
Thank you. Is it Miss P, Miss Purple, or is it T? What would you like?
Miss Purple is good, but T is even better.
Okay.
My name is T Adeyemo, so yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss T. I'm Vanessa Denman, business intuitive, leadership coach, and proud mayoral candidate for the city of Edmonton. My journey started in finance and marketing, moved through management, and for the past decade, I've worked with leaders and entrepreneurs, helping them think bigger, break limiting beliefs, and create success that feels as good as it looks. Here's what I know. Whether you're running for a company or a city, the energy you bring shapes the results you get. My vision, a high vibration Edmonton, a city that works smarter, not harder, a city where innovation, connection, and joy are part of the plan. where communities thrive, businesses feel supported, and our natural beauty is celebrated. I'm running because Edmonton is ready for leadership with both sharp strategy and heart. Leadership that doesn't just solve problems, but sparks possibilities. Thank you. And it's great meeting you all, by the way.
Thank you, Vanessa. Short and sweet. Let me
Thank
see the
you.
greet, everybody. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so very much. That concludes the introductory statements. So we're going to go through it again and ask some really core questions. So the very first question is 1 minute each. I'll start with Malik. Why do you think you are the best candidate for this job, sir?
Well, as I said earlier, I'm not a career politician. I didn't intend to. I worked in the oil and gas for over 20 years and worked in coal mining for 6 years before I joined the city of Edmonton. So when I got to the city, I realized there were huge issues. And I ran into some problems the second year. When I got there, so excited, wanted to change things, train workers. I thought that was how, the private sector works. Everyone there has to pull their own weight, but the city doesn't work like that. So my boss pulled me to the office and says, you're making everyone here uncomfortable and you have only one job to do. And that one job is to show up for work. And I'll tell you what to do. And I've showed up for work for 3 months and get paid without even moving a shovel because we have 2 concrete trucks who were supposed to pour concrete on the sidewalk on the east side of Edmonton was in maintenance. And we showed up with my crew, 20 guys, and sat around until, we could have a concrete truck from Lafarge or from Bronco to come in and pour the concrete. But guess what? The city higher up didn't think that was a good idea. So, and this is the tip of the iceberg. So I could go on and on and on with. So I decided,
sorry, Malik, our time is now up.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Omar.
you.
My turn?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. Well, what sets me apart is I'm not a career politician. I'm not running for a long career in politics. I'm not running for a title, a bigger paycheck, or prestige. I don't take money from wealthy donors or special interest groups. I'm sincerely here to serve Edmontonians, period. My life has been about service, volunteering internationally, raising millions for local charity, auctioning, and giving my own time and money to support those in need. As mayor, I'll bring that same commitment to City Hall. I'm the only candidate pledging to freeze property taxes, balance both operating and capital budgets, and stop adding new debt for 2 out of the next 4 years. I'm also the only one proposing a city-supported nonprofit grocery store to help tackle food insecurity, along with Housing First collaborative model to end homelessness, because this is a proven concept in many cities around the world, like Helsinki and even in Medicine Hat, right here in Alberta. The difference between me and my opponents is, I think, pretty clear. While career politicians offer more of the same, I'm offering accountability, fiscal responsibility, and real solutions that make life better for every Edmontonian. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omar. Olney, why do you think you're the best candidate for this job? You may be muted. You are muted.
Damn, I lost some seconds. Well, I don't think I'm the best, but I think I'm going to be the most efficient. And it's always good to have a new perspective and voice. As a probation officer, I worked in rural Alberta. I lived in Edmonton the whole time, so I did drive back and forth. The changes, like everyone's previously mentioned, it's just growing. Since COVID, over 500,000 approximately in Edmonton. Everybody's already stated what's going on in regards to our financial situation, the business tax. And sorry, Omar, but I'm also a non-politician running for the first time. And I also plan on freezing and reviewing our business plan and taxes to make sense of what's really happening. Edmontonians don't know what's happening. So as a helper, now that I'm at this level, You know, I'm going to bring stability. I'm going to bring some clarity, and I'm going to be able to engage with Edmontonians, each community like I'm doing right now, and bring them now into the fold. Just not the little cliques and circles that are currently existing, but everybody, every neighborhood. My foundation is policy development, if anyone's wondering. And you know, I sat on quite a few committees, but the highest committee of them all for the Alberta Public Service. Currently, the city of Edmonton is using one of my policies that I spearheaded called skip level meetings. I also have a few more that I'm sure the city's going to take on, because when I was working on them collaboratively with leaders at the provincial level, you know, they all said, "Oh, well, we don't know if it works." Well, it works, right? So it's just, you know, listening to your peers, working collaboratively, and understanding what needs to happen.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Andrew is next, please.
Thanks for the question. I think what sets me apart is I have a track record of delivering on the things I've committed to doing over my 12 years on council. That includes some of the things I referenced a bit earlier, being able to deliver on the major infrastructure needs in our newest communities outside the Henday. It involves being able to deliver the renewal that's expected in our older communities through, you know, whether that's the back alley program or other investments in our older spaces. And it's one thing to deliver on those, and the way to do it is to bring everyone together. So something I've done over the last 12 years is to regularly bring people together from all party lines, all ideological backgrounds, and really just make sure that we're hearing from each other and learning from one another to help inform the decisions that were being made. The best way to accomplish the things you commit to doing is by making sure everyone has a seat at the table, everyone has an opportunity to provide input and their insight, and that's something I've been able to deliver on the last 12 years.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Rahim?
So yeah, I'm not a career politician, I'm a recovering politician. So there is a difference there. I know that for myself, I believe I have the experience that's necessary that pulls in some of the things we've heard from some of the others with actual practical experience of working with the two levels of government, or actually all three orders of government when I was elected. And that's something that really, I've noticed has completely deteriorated. A lot of, as we know, the order of government municipally is connected so closely to the provincial government. If you aren't on the same page on a lot of the efforts, whether it's on crime, social services, a number of things that do fall in the responsibility of the provincial government, if that relationship's missing, you're only going to get half measures of success when you come down to putting policy in place. One of the things I was interested to hear from what Andrew said when it talks about opening up and having exchange, all the door knocking that I've been doing, I've only been hearing one thing, and that's that people have felt not listened to at all by this last council or for the last decade. So I don't know what he's talking about exactly. I haven't seen one town hall. I haven't seen any sort of interaction with elected officials, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Rahim. Andy? Okay.
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. So my 14 years prove me people need less politician and more somebody who will take care of them. From my experience, I say to many times, my colleague who elected before me, who instead of me being elected, they never become leader of the community. Just ordinary workers. So I realize my job is just become leader, father of the community, missionary, policeman, doctor. I studied for many years natural medicine. People will be never left sick in hospital without my permission. I will take care of them, even for the price, leave my family for the moment alone. We leaders, if we going to take care of others and we choose freely to go and take care of them, we need to understand now all the children in Edmonton are mine, not only my children at home. all the women in Edmonton, I don't tell my wife only. And I'm going just create discipline in city of Edmonton. First time we will have leader who will know what it means to help people and build Edmonton on the way to the future.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Team?
Thank you. I think that I'm the best candidate because of my combination of skills, experience, and education. I have a BSc in structural engineering and a master's degree in engineering management. A significant preponderance of what cities do is infrastructure related to the planning of, the creation of, and the operating of infrastructure work. I have owned several businesses providing consulting services to people that have projects that need to be executed. I have led capital project teams and I've led operational teams. And I believe that ability to exert that leadership when you can get a team of people that clearly understand the purpose and the direction, and you're able to lead them in that direction. I have done that, and I've done that in the private sector, and I've had the great good fortune of spending other people's money wisely. I think that in combination with my time on city council allows me to take what I've learned in the private sector in that 35-year entrepreneurial journey and combine that with the knowledge of how council operates, the apparatus of city council, how a mayor might operate and perform and lead. And I think that combination gives me the best chance for success. I really don't think we can afford to take a chance on another inexperienced mayor and hope for the best for the next 4 years. We need somebody that can hit the ground running.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, thank you. So I think I bring the right experience and the right leadership for the moment here in Edmonton. I come to you at a time when Edmonton feels less safe and vulnerable people are languishing around us every day. And I bring 20 years of experience in the not-for-profit sector, where I worked at Bissell Center and as a community organizer across our city. I come to you at a time when City Hall needs focus, it needs leadership and decisiveness, not divisiveness. And I bring 8 years of experience as an effective city councillor. And I come to you at a time when Edmonton needs financial discipline and a clear economic strategy, especially for our downtown. And I bring the perspective of a small business owner who's worked downtown and ran a business downtown every day for the last 4 years. So my passion, my experience, and my commitment to collaborative government, that's the change that I believe Edmonton needs right now.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Vanessa?
Yeah, boo, city council. Sorry, I'm just going to say that right now. There's nothing that's happened in the past decade plus. So with love and respect to you guys, it seems so programmed to say what you're saying with love and respect. Aside from that, I'm not going to tell you what I know or what I don't know. I'm just going to show you a couple of numbers. If we're talking about property taxes, one of my biggest pet peeves is the EPCOR distribution charges at 50% of our bills. If we, the city, tax them 50% of that 50%, we will end up having more than enough money to probably remove some property taxes and or if we jump through a couple jurisdictions, maybe some personal income tax as well. The money that's coming through that one entity is quite gross. So anyways, with love, I say that to all you guys that have been counselors and put your time in and all that, but we haven't seen anything in 20 years. So I with love and respect say thank you for your time, but maybe you didn't see what you wanted to see in the last election or the last mayor, but I don't think that hinders anyone from stepping forward at this time in this moment. And all of us, 2, 4, 6, 7 of us, you know, I commend all of us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Vanessa. I feel exactly what you're saying. I will start with you. We started twice now with Malik, so we'll just start with you. So I've got some pet peeves of my own, and I like when you say love and respect. to be honest, we're not here to be disrespectful, but as Edmontonians, we all love the city. So this is why we're here, to have a robust conversation. So Vanessa, you starting first. We're going to start with disconnect with City Hall. It seems as though many Edmontonians feel increasingly disconnected from City Hall. Do you agree with that perception? And if so, what would you do differently to restore trust and responsiveness between City Council, and Edmontonians? Did you get that question? Should I read it back?
No, I got it. Thank you. 100%. I agree. They're absolutely. I think all of us have been on that email train from MH, where he has not been heard once. Would you agree or would you not agree? And this is just a person saying, hey, there's a noise bylaw going on and it's not being respected. And not one person has been able to do anything about it for weeks, if you've all been on that email train. Yep. And with that, we always wonder if they're just complaining or if it's true. But this is true across all of it. And I think as mayor, I would pull a little bit of Don Iveson. In 2018, I sent him an email and I said, I need you to connect me with this organization because I see this going on and that going on. And never in my life did I think in a week I would hear from that organization. That's all I would do. So if you have one issue as one person, as one resident, as one community, hey, Mayor, this is what's going on. I can take that and at least make an email, make a call, do something in which it's rectified and you feel heard. Thank you.
That was beautifully said. Michael, did you want me to repeat the question or you're good? Disconnect to City Hall. You're good.
No, I think it's good. And I think connection to City Hall is why we're here, representing the people who elect us. And once we get elected, we need to stay connected. In my first term in 2013, I worked very hard on building and developing a new public engagement policy for the city of Edmonton, which began very positively, making sure that whenever the city was doing anything significant that was going to affect people's lives, they were consulted properly, consulted in plenty of time before decisions were made so they could have their voice heard. I feel like that has waned in the recent years, certainly. And I remember, when Infill became an issue originally for us as a city in 2014, I actually conducted 14 meetings in each of the neighborhoods in my ward, then Ward 10, that would be directly affected by that policy change a year in advance of that policy being debated at council, to give people the opportunity and the time to tell me what they thought, what they were worried about, what their concerns were, so I could represent them and reflect that in the debates we had. So I think we've drifted and we've shifted away from being as connected to people as we could be over the last 4 years. And I don't think a council that thinks it's smarter than the public is going to be very effective. And we have to get back to being of the people. So thanks.
Okay, that was well said. Team.
Yeah, thank you. I think that we're striking on a common theme here, honestly. I think that we need to find a way to engage, meaningfully and attentively. When I first ran in 2017, one of the pillars of my campaign was that it's very difficult for the large suburban neighborhoods to get to City Hall and participate in government. So it was my duty to bring government to the neighborhood. And I took that duty very seriously. So attending just about any gathering in Ward Behaswin that I could get to, hosting my own town halls at whether it's around budget or around other issues that were coming to the fore. This was just the way I carried myself, and so I'd like to build on that experience and that approach, and really listen attentively. I heard a bit of a saying, I guess you could say, and it was this, and that is that the city, they have the information sessions, the engagement sessions, but they don't really listen. There seems to be an undertone of what's the matter with you when the city arrives in your neighborhood. And we need to change that tone to what matters to you, what really matters, and listen attentively when people respond to that.
All right. Thank you, sir. Andy?
want to create discipline, political discipline, with full energy, which will spread to the people. If I will appear somewhere on the street, I want people to know that's Mayor Andy. He will never leave us alone. He will always work for us. He will always help. Big industry, get help. Always I will look for first solution to talk. I want to be sure all my council, included me, every month we present one project to the public. There is no longer a year supposed to be 150 projects. Usually last year was 14. Where is the other 140? Discipline. I don't want to be the first mayor in Canada who is protected by bodyguard, but there will be huge discipline. There will be really father in the city who will care for everyone. Individual people, businesses, and elderly people, for everyone. I am for everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Rahim?
Thank you. Well, I think engagement is something that you have to demonstrate with example. And I know when I was a member of parliament, I held 3 to 4 town halls in my riding yearly. Sometimes they were tough because you knew there were some tough issues. You were going to get scarred, beat up, but that's okay because that gave an outlet for people to get their frustration out, to share ideas. And, you know, at the end, I found it brought the tone down. It brought everyone's level of anger down. And so it actually felt, they felt that you were listening and that you were doing something. And I feel that that's completely missing. Again, I'm hearing it from around the city, as I think some of my other colleagues are as well. The other component with that is respect. I know that when I served as a federal member of parliament, I had friends from every party. We'd duke it out on the floor of the House or in the committees, but without fail, we would be at the local watering hole, many of us sharing a drink, talking, getting on the same page, so that when we went back to our caucus meetings, we would actually have something we could share to say, how can we all work together a little better? I find, unfortunately, that partisanship has infected all levels of government and not allowing us to serve the taxpayer, which there's only one taxpayer for all orders of government. And it's incumbent on any representative, especially the mayor, to bring people together. I had to do that with hundreds of members of parliament. Doing it with 13 members on council, including myself, is a piece of cake.
Thank you, Rahim. Andrew?
Thanks. So yes, I would agree that Edmontonians are feeling disconnected right now. And for me, that's why I've already been out doing this listening tour during the campaign. We launched our office and it's open to the public every single day. People can drop in. I've had the listening desk out on the street and we're going to be having that across the city. I'm going to do a continuation of the town halls I've already been doing. We just did one on Friday. I've been doing town halls multiple times a year for the last 12 years, every month virtually. I go door knocking every single month for the last 12 years as a way to stay connected to folks. I've actually even been giving people out my personal cell number on all of our literature. It's something I've done for the last 12 years so people can easily reach out to me, and already responding to a lot of the calls and texts coming in. And so as Edmonton's next mayor, I would want to make sure that City Hall is going to be even more collaborative and functional. And that can include changing the rules to make sure special interests don't have undue influence at City Hall, and making sure that we're not doing these conversations, especially we just had one about a pretty significant deal for the downtown, started behind closed doors. That's not the way to do that. That's not the way to connect people. I felt disconnected as an Edmontonian, and we need to make sure we're changing that going forward.
Thank you. Olney?
Our current city council is totally disconnected. I don't even know. Everyone's basically covered it, all aspects. What I'm bringing, I'm opening, transparency and accountability as far as governance goes. I'm going to open up City Hall even more than it is now. I personally think it's underutilized. We could do a lot more as far as inviting the community into City Hall. The problem with City Council is they fail to listen to Edmontonians. Our voices have not been heard. Let me just quickly, the Infill situation. Knack, I don't believe you voted. Councillor Cartmell, I believe you were on vacation and I listened to your justification, but You know, I have relatives where you were, and I talk to them on WhatsApp regularly. There was a way, you know, I know you need a secure line, obviously, but there was a way. You know, this is very important. Edmontonians extended. You guys got into a fight. By the way, you don't look like you like each other. And I think that's an issue when you're trying to work as a team, working collaboratively. And that's where the disconnect comes with the city. Like I believe Raheem said, sorry, I don't know if I pronounced your name wrong, Raheem, you said that, you know, you don't need a city council that's smarter than the citizens. I agree with you. We need to be listening to the citizens in each community and, you know, maybe trying to support them somewhat rather than totally ignoring them totally and then make these excuses. Listen, you've been in the system for a decade plus. I understand the political side of it, but now we need to make Edmonton stable. We need families to this financial burden, small businesses struggling. We need to adjust policies and bylaws to suit, not hinder people in Edmonton. Thank you.
Thank you, Olney, and I appreciate those comments. And Councillor Cartmell will have an opportunity shortly to reply.
Yeah,
okay,
I've heard it all. I've heard him on every media outlet.
Yeah,
you know, in the end, technology is technology. Figure it out. It's your job.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We got it. Omar.
Sorry, it was me. Sorry, sorry about that. Well, for me, for too long, Edmontonians have felt that City Hall's a fortress, distant, bureaucratic, unresponsive. So I want to break down those walls, rebuild trust. That means being present in communities, not just in council chambers. So as mayor, I'm going to hold regular town halls across the city, so they're unscripted, non-staged, have real conversations where residents can ask tough questions and get straight answers. So I'll push for plain language and you know, understand how it affects people's daily lives. I want to create stronger online platforms so people can contact me directly, and because we're in the age of social media, and I believe social media is an aspect that we can really engage people a little bit more at City Hall.
I mean, I can already see that with all this number of candidates, 2 hours is just not enough. What was I thinking?
No, it's not.
There's still a lot to dig in, and I want to dig in. Okay, so we'll let Malik talk, and then we go to the second round.
Well, anyways, Tim talked about experience. I don't think he has any. I'm sorry to say that. He's not listening to Edmontonians. He could barely show up for work and do his job. He said he has experience. Well, experience means nothing if it leads to failure. And this is the failure of the City Hall. Skyrocketing taxes, a housing crisis, broken infrastructures, drug use and crime in open places, red tape, struggling businesses. Is that all they have to offer? And where is this experience has lead us to? $4.4 billion in debt, $34 million in deficit. We're paying $1.5 million per day on the interest on the loan alone. By law, the rainy day fund for the city of Edmonton is all supposed to be less than $146 million. Now it's 57. I haven't seen Tim on the streets doing the work I've done. I haven't seen him talk to residents. He has this echo chamber of people who play golf and all of his buddies who are developers and builders. He didn't show up for work to vote on the infill. I feel offended just like everybody else in Edmonton when he says he came with experience. There's no experience there. And he does not qualify to be the next city mayor of Edmonton. I'm sorry to say.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. We're going to go to the next set of questions now. And what can I say? You have 1 minute, please. And if Councillor Cartmell wants to respond now or later during the question and answer time, he can do that. So I'm going to start again with Vanessa. The question is on taxes and spending.
Just hang on a second. He poked at golfing and doing business. I golf and do business. So, okay. Tim, if you're golfing, that's totally fine. And I don't know why we're poking on you, so and or anyone else. But sorry, go ahead, please.
Okay, fair. So property taxes are a major concern for families and businesses. 2024 property taxes were increased by 8.4%, and for 2025, they were increased by 5.7%. Do you believe Edmonton has a spending problem or a revenue problem? And what specific steps would you take to ensure taxes are fair and sustainable?
Unfortunately, that whole system, in my opinion, shouldn't exist anymore. How many more times can you tax a property? Like, how often can you tax a property over and over and over again before you get your fill of it? So the way that I see it is the more money that the government keeps giving back to us, GST rebates, carbon rebates, which they just canceled, child benefits, all of this money that they keep giving back to us, times it by like 50 million, and that's what they've been taking from us from day one. So whether you give me numbers from last year, this year, 10 years ago, we've already paid our property taxes. We've already paid what we've needed to. So what we need to do is look in the future and see how we can take care of the rest of the city, so that everybody is on the same playing grounds. And I have a whole bunch of possibilities for that when anyone is ready to listen.
All right, thank you. Micheal?
Yeah, thanks. It's a really great question. I think we have spending challenges and we have revenue challenges as a city. You know, you can see in the last 4 years, the cumulative tax increase has been the highest it's been in my lifetime here in Edmonton. We sort of operate on this myth that taxes have to go up every year and services can stay about the same. And that's based on a myth that every dollar we spent last year, we have to spend again next year. And I think that creates some real challenges for us as a city, namely that we can no longer afford to improve services or provide the amenities that people need to make Edmonton the kind of place we all want to live in. And it also hurts our competitiveness as a city. We're losing lots of industrial investment to our neighboring municipalities and to other cities. And when we lose industrial assessment and business tax, that puts more pressure on residential taxpayers. So I think fundamentally the discipline that we require in the next 4 years is going to start with some real tough questions in restructuring. We know we want to build a great city. We know we need a city that has excellent services, and we need to attract investment to the city. So that's going to take leadership, discipline, and a whole new approach in the next 4 years. So I'm excited to lead that process.
All right, thank you very much, Micheal. I've been advised to allow Councillor Cartmell respond, so you get 30 seconds extra to respond to Olney and Malik's statements whilst you answer the question. So you got 90 seconds in total.
I don't need to answer Malik's statement. I think what we really need to think about is the whole process that arrives at those property tax increases. And it is a budgeting process, which is at the heart of it, a spending problem. We need to figure out what the most important services are to the citizens and the residents of the city of Edmonton, and ensure that those services are properly funded at the level of service that people need and want. And that's going to mean that there's going to be some other things that are just not as high a priority. So we're going to have to get into a system of reallocating the dollars we're already taking before we take any more. But there's also not so much a revenue problem, but there is an activity or a value problem. We need a stronger economy. We need an economy that will provide people the opportunity to find employment and entertainment and education in their community. And I released a statement a couple of weeks ago that spoke about that spoke about freezing property taxes at their current level to allow those that are going to invest in non-residential, commercial, industrial, light commercial properties, and not have to pay taxes on the improvements that they're going to fund for a number of years, to allow them to make those investments, bring jobs, bring dollars to the economy, and thrive in that space before we start tacking on property tax increases. And in that way, we can get our economy spooling up and make our city much more affordable by having a greater pool of businesses, residents, people that can help share the burden and each pay less individually.
All right. Thank you.
Look, actually, see how the question wasn't answered, and that's what I'm talking about. Just answer the question. But we went on you just avoided it, moved on. Like,
that's very condescending when you say you don't answer my question.
Okay.
I have another issue that I'm bringing up right now too. When are we allowed to start? No, hold up.
You had your chance. We're coming to you.
This is what gets me frustrated with this city council, and this is why we all are here in such a diverse way. Mr. Councillor Cartmell, There's rules. There's policy and procedure, which you just stated you're going to do this, that, and the other. Well, a constituent showed me a sign that you have out advertising your campaign to be elected. Is it September 22nd already, or do we?
Olney, I'm going to have to mute you. We need to be
reflection.
respectful. All right, we need to be respectful and follow basic rules. All right. All right. Thank you, Andy.
Candidate, so much energy. If I win election, all of them will probably work around me. And so taxes, we always, I think the taxes are for our future, not to spend for all missing things like homes or homeless or all kind of social issue all the time. No, not this way. Important is we're supposed to, as a councils, as a mayor, me, I will be contacting systematically with all my MLA, provincial member parliament. I will be contacting with MP, telling them we all together working in Edmonton. They need to take some issue and work for. If you were talking about taxes, I promise myself I am stop the taxes, property taxes in the day when I am elected. Preparing the program is here already on the table. How to stop tax property means anything you pay now will be for another 4 years. If the program goes well, in 2 years, we reduce taxes from 3 to 5%. After 3 years, we go even for 7%. And the 4th years, 9%. Or rent, anybody rented apartment and has income less like 40,000, which required this year, can include it rent to income tax. We stop producing low-income people. We stop producing low-income mother, fathers, families.
Time is not up, Andy. Thank you so much. We've got to let Raheem speak now.
Thank you, T. You know, I love this passion. What excitement. This is what democracy is all about. So that's great. I wanted to just, you know, it's interesting when you hear some of the current councillors. I look forward to hearing what Andrew has to say. But industrial policy seems to be on the complete back burner of this council. There's been no energy at all put into creating opportunities for businesses to locate here in Edmonton, whether it's around the ring of Anthony Henday, where we have a lot of industrial land. In fact, it's been the opposite. We've seen more businesses leave Edmonton to set up in Atchison, Leduc, Nisku, everywhere else, because we haven't created an environment for business to succeed in Edmonton. It's been a slow decline. But property taxes are a big part of that. Now, for me, I want to roll back this proposal. We've already heard the current council say that in the budget before the election, they hope to hike property taxes again by 6.8%. As mayor, I would kill that. There's no way I would encourage more taxes. Edmontonians have been taxed to the hilt. I want to complete an audit of parts of the cities, not only just the city spending, but agencies and the council, to find $400 million in savings. I'm sure it's there because we know there's been a spending problem at this council, not anything else. And there's ways to be able to save the money. If we can do that effectively, which I believe we can, even in my own business, I'm doing a lot more with a lot less than a lot of other people have been doing. Businesses have been forced to do that. We can roll back property taxes over time, not continue to increase them.
Well spoken, Raheem. Thank you. Andrew?
Thanks. So yes, I've been hearing this. This is probably the number one thing I'm hearing about at the doors and really across the city, which is the rising costs, not just on property taxes, but inflation and you name it, utilities, insurance, all of that. And we're seeing this need to rethink how we do budgets in the city. That's actually why I made a motion back in December to restructure how the city budget's going forward, because we need to be careful that when we update our budget, that doesn't mean going through austerity. At a time where we're growing rapidly, at a time where we're adding 200,000 people in the last 4 years, we still need to provide good quality public services across the city. And it still means we need to maintain the existing infrastructure we have. This is something I've done over the last 12 years, which is constantly find ways to find savings. I've done this over my 12 years. I put forward motions successfully that have helped reduce spending by over $80 million in my time on council without any meaningful cuts to services. And so this is going to be an important approach as we go and create a new budget with Edmontonians. And that's part of why this process needs to include Edmontonians at the table of talking about what their priorities are, what else we need to be investing in, but making sure we're not cutting back on the areas that really help people live the lives that they need to and have a good quality of life in the city.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Olney? You need to unmute.
I'm going to keep it short. Going to pause and review current business plan. Going to explore sustainable ways to reduce property taxes to ease the financial burden on Edmontonian families and businesses. It's okay that, I feel as though, and this is the thing with me, and as I knock doors, people are concerned that they're not being heard, me being rooted in Edmonton and guided by the voice of Edmontonians, it's not about passion. This is about urgency. This is about somebody who's going to become mayor. I think I'm the best person because when I go in there, you're not only getting passion, but you're going to get action. We're going to look thoroughly from top to bottom. We're going to review everything or anything that hinders and benefits and supports communities in Edmonton. It's an Edmonton first, capital city first moving forward. We're going to build our relationships as necessary, respectful relationships with the provincial government, because that's obviously lacking. And I don't care what these two say or any of the councillors. I've watched you since January on live stream. You guys don't like each other, at least from the public. You don't like each other. If you don't like each other, you're not going to work effectively with each other. You got to be held accountable. A decade, I've been paying my taxes. I'm hearing about people having to sell their houses. I'm seeing the homeless people. Why aren't we rezoning to ensure smaller houses are able to fit somewhere in neighborhoods? I have citizens sending me this information. You guys, I'm sure, have it as well. So please stop playing politics. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's get to work.
All right. Thank you, Olney. Thank you. Omar.
Well, Edmontonians, they're getting crushed. In the past 4 years, property taxes are up 22%, closer to 40% with assessments. Meanwhile, groceries, utilities, and rent keep climbing. Families are having to choose between paying the bills and putting food on the table. So here's my plan. First, a zero-based budget review on both the operating and capital side. Every department has to justify every dollar. We need to find ways to make cuts, but also increase efficiencies. Second, I'll pause all proposed non-essential capital projects. We're participating in a $250 million fan park, and we've spent about $500 million on just 2 rec centers lately. Everyone likes nice stuff, okay? But we have to stop until we can afford them, plain and simple. And we need to direct those funds to essential infrastructure and services. And third, I'll stop new borrowing, so we're not just stacking debt upon debt upon debt and onto future taxpayers. And finally, I'll grow the tax base without raising taxes by further accelerating housing development and also increasing non-residential tax base, because we have to really cut our permitting times down for small businesses. So getting more homes built, getting more businesses established increases the number of taxpayers. And that's what pays into the pot, not reaching further into the pockets of Edmontonians. That's how we'll deliver real relief, a property tax freeze, and that's for at least 2 out of the next 4 years, and a city that finally lives within its means. Families do it every day. City Hall should too.
Thank you very much, sir. Malik.
Well, as someone who's worked with the city, have seen all these problems firsthand. The City Hall collects $3.4 billion in revenue from property tax increase, user fees, EPCO dividend, and government transfers, and still not enough. Like Rahim, who said they have not done anything to support small and medium-sized businesses to fix relationship with our provincial government. They haven't. And also, they haven't done anything to attract investments. Like Rahim also said, most businesses have left Edmonton. on White Avenue, 107, 118, name it. All across Edmonton, they've gone to Beaumont, they've gone to Spruce Grove, and also people have sold their houses and moved out. So if the City Hall is telling us that everything they're doing is based off of experience and based off of accountability and transparency, well, the result says otherwise. So obviously, whatever they've been doing in the last 12 years, 8 years, or however long they've been there, isn't working for Edmontonians. And I, when I go out there knocking on doors, I haven't seen or met anyone who is excited to see any one of them become the next mayor of the city of Edmonton. I'm sorry, this is the reality on the ground.
All right, thank you very much.
I don't think they've been excited to see any of us. So,
Okay, so this is my last call question, and then we're going to deal with issues. Malik, I'm starting with you. Infill and neighborhood change. Infill development continues to divide neighborhoods. Some see it as necessary for growth, while others see it as a disruption to community character. What is your position on infill, and how would you balance the needs of new development with the concerns of existing development? Malik. You're muted, sir.
The infill is supposed to solve the problem with affordability, right? But the infill is a typical example of doing something good in a bad way. I mean, the infrastructures that's supposed to go along with it was never thought through. They were saying that, well, we should build more and faster. Well, the developers and builders are the ones writing the rules, and Tim didn't show up for work. Again, to show someone who's supposed to be the mayor of the city of Edmonton, also in council, he doesn't, seem to get along with everybody else. But the infill has to continue. I don't think it is something that people want to see in the community, and I want to slow it down if I become the next mayor of the city of Edmonton, because I believe that some of those infills did not meet the requirement to be in some of those mature neighborhoods. It's going to be a snow removal nightmare because of all the cars parked on the streets. It's going to be a nightmare for garbage removal. There's no transit connection to some of these places. And also class sizes in some of the schools that are very close to where these infills are built. And also the aesthetics of the community. People spend money, bought expensive houses to live in that neighborhood. There's a reason why they choose to be there. We have lands that we could have invested money on and build affordable housing, low-income housing. So the city has a whole lot of problems. I don't think the city hall insiders are actually doing anything to fix them.
Okay. Thank you, Omar.
All right. Well, housing is slipping out of reach. For families earning under $63,000 a year, affordable options barely exist. And by 2026, 60,000 households will have unmet housing needs. So my plan is to build more homes faster. That means fast tracking permits for affordable housing projects, expanding same-day approvals for standard bills, and hiring more inspectors so projects don't sit idle. I'll also incentivize nonprofit and affordable builders with temporary tax breaks and look at converting empty office towers into housing. But on infill, I support growth, but with balance. Cap mid-block builds at 6 units, require on-site parking, and bring back basic architectural controls to protect neighborhood character. We do need more housing, but we also need common sense.
Thank you very much, Omar. Olney?
As far as infills is concerned, I'm going to listen to Edmontonians. Each neighborhood, needs specific consideration. After listening to all those Edmontonians who turned out in City Hall prior to them shutting off for the summer, listening to what they were saying, it's a unit problem. So the fact that those necessary votes there wasn't there to back Edmontonians, I'm going to listen to each neighborhood. Affordability, housing is a need, but I also think we could look for alternatives and innovative ways, aside from, to add to the, not even aside, to add. And what I mean is, like I mentioned before, we have to reassess some of our bylaws and make it supportive to Edmontonians, whether you be on the street so that we can put smaller homes in certain places, which are not permanent, by the way. We could move them and refurbish the area that they previously were in. You know, that would help. You can't deal with addiction or mental health if you don't have shelter. And I'm sure everybody here knows this. So why not make things easier? So I'm going in there to work closely with the city manager's office. We need to get a hold of the numbers. I need to understand the numbers so that I can explain to Edmontonians what it is. And that's what it is, transparency. You know, bringing them down there, opening it up, letting people know this is where we're going. Allow them to vote. Maybe we do that so that we get, you know, insight from each community. I'm talking to people who are very concerned right now with just the way things have been for 10 years along with me. This is why I'm here. No one would see me here if everything was pleasant. My grade for the current city council is a D-. So they did get a decent mark, but not where it needs to be. So thank you very much, Ms. T.
Thank you, Olney. Andrew?
Thanks. So this is one, we just held a town hall on Friday on this topic, and I've been out door knocking in many of the mature neighborhoods across the city. And I'm not hearing people sort of on opposite ends of the spectrum. What I'm hearing about is people who are saying, we still need to provide housing choice, and we need to maintain Edmonton's affordability advantage that we have. We are the most affordable major city in the country when it comes to housing, but still a lot of work to do. But on the other hand, I'm hearing from residents in those mature neighborhoods who are saying we still need to tweak and tune and get this right. And that included reducing the number of units in a mid-block. So I was at that meeting, voted in favor of reducing the number of mid-units from 8 to 6. But it includes other changes as well. One idea I'm proposing, and I would love to see it come back, and I'm hearing it pretty consistently, is having a mature tree protection bylaw to preserve something that really adds to the character of communities. There's other work happening on design guidelines and building changes. We made a number of changes on July 8th to reduce the massing of the building. So I think overwhelmingly what I hear is people understand we need infill, we need housing choice. We need to maintain that affordability advantage because we can't keep expanding the boundaries of our city. That's what is the single biggest driver of our property taxes and hurts our affordability as a city. So we need to continue to do work. That's why I've been doing the work already, voting on the changes that we need. And we'll have more to come in the near future on additional changes that need to be made to make sure it's respectful within mature neighborhoods.
All right. Thank you very much, Andrew. Rahim?
You know, I hear about affordable housing, and I appreciate something that Andrew just said. I look at Blatchford lands, I look at other areas where there's nothing happening, and this city has been, the council and mayor has been sitting on these things for a long time where we're not seeing any creation of any housing when we could have affordable housing created in some of these places, instead of destroying mature neighborhoods where we often, with these decisions of this council, we've actually killed many people's nest eggs. Their homes are their major source of their retirement or whatever it might be for savings. This blanket rezoning that we saw, you know, has just unfortunately not only killed the nature of these neighborhoods, but overnight affected people's savings. So you've hit them with property taxes, and then you've destroyed their main source of savings or nest egg for the future. It's completely irresponsible. Malik said we need responsible infill. I think Edmontonians want that. I think Omar talked a little bit about looking at ways to reduce costs for affordable housing. If you don't have the province at the table for that kind of a discussion, you're not going to actually get the development of housing, because this is where we are today here in Edmonton. So I think overall, there's a few different things we can do. I love some of these ideas, and hopefully, if we're all involved with this in the future, we can work together to come up with good solutions.
All right. Thank you very much, Rahim. Andy?
We need to remember, in our town, we have 147 different nations. We are a multi-nation country. We are a multi-nation city. We have 13 different religions. So mayor needs to go and meet all of them, need to recognize them. If you were talking about housing, for example, first, maybe fast, the project, probably there is already a lot of project on the way. If I am mayor, I will check the project, all of them. Maybe some of them I just give away. Some of them I just stop, but some of them we go on. Important is I have a 13 company who produce mini tiny houses. We can do like in Detroit, take some piece of land, which you have plenty inside Edmonton and outside. We can build a lot of beautiful, small, mini tiny houses when mortgage don't even reach $30,000. If you dare, my colleague politician produce so many low-income people, so many low family. Let's go for mini tiny houses. Give the people chance for at least small one, which don't need to spend much money. You push your colleague from MLA, from MP, you talk to them. Of course, any project need to require discussion, and we open way to live to everyone for the future, because we will going and coming to Edmonton, we need to prepare future for another generation.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Cartmell?
Thank you, T. So I think there's two things to be said here. First of all is that if we're looking through an affordability lens, in any commodity, the greatest antidote to a affordability crisis is supply. And the best way for us to augment the supply of housing we already have in an infill context is to reduce the red tape around development of spaces like Blatchford, the old Northland site, the East Downtown area called the Quarters, the West 240 at the University of Alberta, and South Campus at the University of Alberta. Those 5 spaces alone would give us thousands, if not tens of thousands of housing units. And all it requires is a policy review to actually activate those spaces. And then if we take that understanding and realize that 6 and 8 plexes in mature neighborhoods are not about affordability, they contribute very little to an affordability or a supply question. The question then turns to, how do mature neighborhoods evolve over time? What is important to the people that live in those neighborhoods, and are we listening? And in the door knocking and the listening I've been done, we hear about how tall they are, how long they are, how imposing they are. So we need a shift in the bylaw. We need to start measuring the height of the building from the ground and not from the main floor. We need to start measuring the top of the building to the actual top of the building and not like halfway up the roof. We need to talk about emphasizing infill development along nodes and corridors and defining nodes and corridors with the input of the people that live in those neighborhoods. These are modest shifts. They require some modest evolutions and amendments to the existing bylaws. And I think we could do that in very short order right after the election, when we've got a team of people that will actually support those shifts.
All right. Thank you, Councillor. Michael?
Yeah, thanks. And I think other than public safety, housing affordability is probably the single most important issue that I've heard about in this election so far. And I'll just talk about what I've done on this issue when I was on council. When I left council in 2021, I would describe what we left behind as breathing space for supply growth in our city. We have a city plan boundary. So we have a boundary right now that we're not planning to expand beyond. Which includes some very sustainable and dense suburban neighborhoods. We have some of the most sustainable and dense suburban neighborhoods in the region. I had personally led the charge to get the city of Edmonton out of the land development game, particularly so we could focus on some of our bigger opportunities. So some may not know that the city develops a lot of suburban land, owns a lot of suburban land and other land that it is probably not very good at developing, and should focus instead on Blatchford exhibition lands to actually get those lands developed and provide the housing that people need. And we had infill policy, which again, I mentioned earlier in 2014, I was very committed to early public engagement so that people knew what was coming to their neighborhood. So on the question of infill in particular, I was very surprised by the 8-plex everywhere approach that our council took. I think most people on council supported that, except for Councillors Principe and Rice, I believe. I was also surprised to see questions that weren't asked during that debate. Like, it's not just about 8-plexes. Can you subdivide a lot that's large enough and put 8 on each side so you go from 1 house to 16 houses? I think that's just a matter of rigor that council should have undertaken in asking some of those questions. And now we're scrambling to correct mistakes that were made. And I think the bylaw will definitely need to be reformed and amended to listen to neighborhoods more thoroughly, and to make the adjustments that also protect housing affordability and protect the quality of life in the neighborhoods that people are used to living in.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Vanessa?
Thank you. It's really mundane to talk about the same 8 subjects over and over and over again. And with regards to affordable housing, I have not shared what you guys have shared with other people. When I think about condos, converted condos, the new builds, all of that, unfortunately, all I see is the day lumber went up 3 times the price it went up. And then within that 6 months, houses went from 200,000 to 400,000. So I feel that this is a situation we can definitely handle together, but I feel that we put numbers in front of taking care of our communities and our people and our residents for sure. So right now, that's all I have to say about that. It's really boring listening to these same topics go over and over and over again.
All right.
But everyone had something very beautiful to say. I took notes on everyone.
Thank you, Vanessa. You've been watching LCCMedia's Candidate Forum 2025. We're going to start the next question with Vanessa. If you're new to the channel, we ask that you like and perhaps even subscribe. The next question is on bike lanes. We've got to do this round, and then I have a very brief segment where I ask follow-up questions. I haven't done that so far. Edmonton plans to build approximately 23 kilometers of new bike lane infrastructure in 25, mainly on the city's north side. Yet residents in neighborhoods like Delton have pushed back, petitioning against changes such as the conversion of 96th Street Northwest into a one-way street with parking removed for protected bike lane. What is your policy on bike lanes, and how will you deal with the issue moving forward, Vanessa?
Well, first of all, I don't have a policy on bike lanes. And secondly, if that's what the residents are saying is, hey, this might not work for us, maybe we need to take a step back and have a conversation with them again. What put this in progress? Was it being more green as a city so that we're using less cars and using more bikes? How did this come about? Especially when I've received multiple emails with regards to this. And technically, I actually didn't even know it was going on. I didn't know this was an issue within the city. So that's my blanket statement.
All right, Michael?
Yeah, thanks. I believe in an excellent roadway network that's well maintained and looked after. I believe in LRT and public transit as important transportation infrastructure for a city Edmonton's size. I'm committed to that. And I also believe in a small percentage of our budget for active transportation and bike lanes. And it's sort of rooted in a philosophy for me called 8 to 80 cities. That means if you build infrastructure that's active and promotes health, that's safe for an 8-year-old and safe for an 80-year-old, it will be safe for everybody in between. And that's my approach to building infrastructure like the our bike network and bike lanes in our cities. So that means it's separated from the roadway, it's away from traffic, it's safer, it doesn't interfere with car traffic and or important bus lanes and transit corridors in our city, that it's sort of integrated, but it's aside from it. So we're not developing all these conflict. I think there's a lot of conflict that emerges from the construction of bike lanes because we design them and build them to conflict with cars and buses. And we can just design them a lot more intelligently than we have. And I'd support that to a small percentage for sure. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Councillor Cartmell?
Thank you. Yeah, I do not support taking lanes off of arterial roads and turning them into bike lanes. Our arterial road system is under immense pressure for a number of reasons. And we've heard earlier tonight about how many people have come to the city of Edmonton. And we need to remember that because of massive overspend on LRT trains, we have a disproportionate massive underspend on bus-based transit. And so that means that most people coming to our city today really need to rely on a car unless they are really, really fortunate to live close to one of those LRT stations. If you live south of the Henday in the ward I represent, transit is a rumor, and there's no other way to get around. And quite frankly, offering a bike lane on an arterial road is not the answer that people are looking for. I will say that any modern city has a robust transportation plan that includes a bike plan, includes a transit plan, and includes a roadway plan. So what we need to do is find a way, because of the Edmonton context, to weave a solid bike plan that does not compromise, does not contradict, but actually complements our arterial road plan and our transit plan.
All right, thank you very much. Andy, you're next.
Yes, like I mentioned, I believe there is a lot of project already on the way. It's very important to see the project if they are really worth, because my thoughts is every project which we do in Edmonton must have element and benefit for all community. Cannot be any favor community, cannot be any favor social group. For this kind of project with single group or social group is referendum. People can just vote, not the politician. So this is one more thing. And like I say, in my thoughts, in my programs, is first good for the people. I want to be sure people every day have home, food to eat, money enough to pay the bills, and all those things. Also, I want to be sure they're not waiting 24 hours in hospitals and clinics to see the doctor. End of this story. I want to be sure, I promise myself, first year, 80% homeless and crime will be reduced in Edmonton. I already know how to do it. So it's very important. Every project is very important, but need to be consulted and to see if it's worth and will be satisfied all community.
Thank you very much, sir. Rahim.
Thank you. And, Andrew said some interesting points before, too, which talked about oversight. This is something with the bike lane plan that I've been completely flabbergasted about, because there seems to be no oversight where there should have been modifications made in certain areas where bike lanes were being planned. We've seen odd outcomes where you've put a bike lane right in front of this Chinese seniors benevolent society where they can't get access to the building. We've seen the same thing just behind my restaurant on White Avenue, where you've had a bike lane come down. If they had stopped it just 30 yards before where this big housing development was going to happen, which is what we're arguing for, more housing, instead they blocked the whole front entrance of this particular development, and hence you got an empty lot sitting there when it should have been densified housing. So I wanted to put a freeze on any future bike lanes, because it's clear to me that there's not the type of oversight being enacted from the City Hall to be able to stop these kind of developments when they're having a negative impact on housing, on communities, on a number of things, especially in light of the spending that we've seen, the crazy spending, and not being able to pull back on some of this spending. And this would help us not only put better bike lanes in place so that we're actually listening to the communities, but modify those outcomes that we're never looking at. And I think it's going back to the idea, getting back to the basics, not being ideological in the way that you run City Hall, but back to the basic services and doing that well, listening to people in the city.
Thank you, Rahim. Andrew?
Thanks. So I do believe that as a city of our size, we do need to provide transportation choices for everyone. And that's why in my time on council, I've supported a more than $4.2 billion investment in our roadway network. That's why I'm supportive of the expansion of our LRT. And yes, I'm also supportive of good active transportation, but that needs to have context in mind. So I think about 1 month before I first got elected, there was a bike lane on 95th Ave that was installed, took away a lane of traffic on a busy road. And even as somebody that cycles all the time, that was a bad bike lane. It didn't do any provide any good value. So I voted to remove it and said that when we invest going forward, it needs to be more thoughtful. So now that that road's being rebuilt 12 years later, because we increased the investment in roadway reconstruction, we're now going to be rebuilding, instead of the sidewalk on one side of the street, we're going to put in a multi-use trail. And there's a scenario where we're not taking away lanes of traffic, we're adding a new mode of transportation. It's at the same cost as if we were rebuilding a sidewalk. That's being context sensitive, that's being using the budget responsibly. And I think that's the type of approach we need to take as we go forward, as we continue to invest in all transportation choices in the city, because everyone needs to have options available to them.
Thank you, Andrew. Olney?
I'm going to listen to Edmontonians in those neighborhoods where they have concerns. We're going to go ahead and just review the situation and remove them. There's no reason why we can't move bike lanes. We put them there, we can move them. And, you know, they're hindering. At first, I thought it would be a safe thing. I thought people would use them. But in a lot of these neighborhoods, especially in the north side here, up by 90s, a lot of the residents, a lot of the doors I knock, that's a huge concern, and they much rather do without the bike lane. So why not engage with each community, find out what works best for them. There's a whole bunch of alternatives, and we're all very intelligent people. You know, we have a big team. You know, we can work this out and support each neighborhood accordingly. So I'm big on, you know, if we can't move them, then we can adjust the situation. What Councillor Knack just said, that sounds good. Maybe it might work in some of these situations. Maybe it won't. But there's no reason why we can't look at innovative ways to support our neighborhoods and Edmontonians when it comes to bike lanes.
Fantastic. Thank you, Olney. Omar?
All right. Well, the city likes to defend its overspending on bike lanes. They often say, well, if 1% of Edmontonians use bikes, we'll spend 1% of the transportation budget on bike lanes. But that's a fallacy. Transportation isn't measured in the percentages of people. It's measured in kilometers traveled. And when you look at it that way, cars account for most trips taken in Edmonton, right? 96.8 billion kilometers are traveled by car and vehicles in Edmonton versus maybe hundreds of millions by bikes. Yet City Hall keeps pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into bike lanes that sit empty most of the year. Now, and all while our roads are crumbling, our transit system is unsafe, taxpayers are squeezed harder every year. Now, it's not that bike lanes are bad, it's that the spending is widely disproportionate to the actual usage. So as mayor, I'll put common sense back into our priorities. Fix roads, improve transit, invest where the vast majority of Edmontons are actually traveling. So people actually feel that their tax dollars are respected.
That was well said, Dr. Omar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Malik. Sorry, you're muted.
I think the bike lane is one of those programs where the City Hall rolled out that weren't thought through, and $100 million spent on it, and they couldn't justify it. Now you have residents here in Edmonton quite angry about the bike lane. I bike myself, my kids' bike. I have nothing against it. I think we should design it better, and the areas where it's not supposed to be shouldn't be there. It shouldn't affect traffic. It shouldn't block traffic. It shouldn't affect transit, and it shouldn't affect the bus stops. So I think this is the frustration. Also, a property that I owned just off White Avenue. I mean, the front of the building is a bike lane. The side of the building is a bike lane. Now you have the back alley. So it's frustrating for the residents that moves in. The truck can park in the front. So if they have furnitures, they have to haul the furnitures all the way from the back of the building where there's no entrance to the side of the building on the front. It's very difficult. So I don't think it was well thought through. But I'm not in the business of pissing people off. I think, we should balance. We should have a balance in everything we do. There's people that love biking here in Edmonton, and there are people that don't. That's fine. Edmonton is a winter city, but there could be, folks who want to bike in the winter. But the whole thing is we haven't looked at it very well. I didn't see the rush to get the bike lane going. And then, Edmontonians, majority of them are not happy with it.
All right. Thank you very much, Malik. I appreciate it. That marks the end of that core segment. I will ask each of you a question. And if you'd like to comment on anything else anybody is saying, you've still got the 60 seconds to do that. I will call you. We're not going to go in that order. My first question goes to Councillor Cartmell. Can you please justify why voters will want 4 more years or more of the last 4 years? And could you please remind Edmonton of your core achievements over the last 8?
Yeah, thank you. I think that I think I would agree with most residents of the city that what we've seen for the last 4 years, and you would suggest even the last 12 years, it just does not resonate with most people that live here. I think that they don't feel connected, they don't feel heard, they don't feel represented, and I share that view. Quite frankly, I don't feel represented by this council either, and it has been quite difficult to be in the minority view the majority of the time, sitting at city council and watching some of these decisions go through. And so, I that doesn't mean that those that have served are bad people necessarily. It's just that we share a different view of where the city needs to go. Having been there 8 years, I think we've got to, dramatically shift the direction that the council is taking the city. And that's why we've built a team that also shares that view, that we need to move in a different direction. We need to be responsive to the people that are
Thank you, sir.
us.
All right. My next question goes to Malik. Should you become mayor of Edmonton, what are your top 2 priorities? You're muted, sir.
To balance the budget is very important. And if we couldn't get our house in order, we won't be able to pay for essential services. And as an insider, I quite see where the waste has been and what we could do to reduce the waste. So and that's one of my frustrations with those who are in the council. They've never actually worked for the city of Edmonton. So when you run an election and win and become a mayor or council, now you get there, you're like a deer caught in the headlight, because you don't actually understand how the city actually works. And that's why one of the reasons why we have all these problems. So, but finance is number 1. Number 2 is pay attention to call services. Number 3, we have to fix our infrastructures. We have to audit every department, make sure we don't waste money, and I must end the use it or lose it culture within the departments. And also we have to fix homeless issues.
Thank you, sir. My next question goes to Councillor Knack. So the city experiencing high property taxes, astronomical rise in cost of living, high unemployment. Why should we give you 4 more years? You've had 12.
Thanks for the question. I think because I go back to something I mentioned a bit earlier. In my time on council, I've been the one that's brought forward ways to reduce spending within the city, bringing forward savings of over $80 million. That's the type of action that we need as we go forward to transform our budget. We're going to need to, as mentioned, not restrict and have an austerity budget where we're not allowing ourselves to keep up with growth, but at the same time making sure that we're looking for thoughtful ways to find savings, to reprioritize. And so the next process that the next council is going to be going through will allow for that branch by branch presentation to ensure that we're putting the money in the right areas and that other areas maybe we can push aside in the interim. This is all going to be part of a much bigger exercise where we need to co-create this with Edmontonians, because we have these priorities, we have these needs to provide the services and amenities in the outer edges in all of the new communities. We need new fire halls, we need rec centers, we need libraries, and in older neighborhoods, we do need to renew our existing infrastructure. And so it's not going to be a scenario where we're going to freeze our property taxes because we're not going to be delivering what we need.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor. My next question goes to Rahim. Edmonton's homelessness has grown while shelter capacity and supporting housing lag in demand. What is your 24-month plan to reduce the unsheltered count and shorten time to housing?
Thank you for your question. Yeah, housing is a big concern, and there's a couple different prongs to try to achieve results in this area. I talked earlier about leveraging provincial cooperation and trying to look at building supports for the people who are unhoused. That's something, as we know, hasn't been happening, and that has to happen very effectively. I hope to, in the next couple of weeks, really put out a detailed plan on housing, because I think there's a way to focus, in particular, how to break the cycle of poverty for a number of people when it comes that are caught between the houselessness problems, and focus attentions on how you can support them in that process while they go through it. So I won't let out too much at this particular time, but I do have a solution that I think will work very effectively than what we've seen now, where we've dumped a lot of money into the situation and not had the results that we've liked for housing. I'd just like to mention one. Oh, if the time's up, then I'll stop.
Thank you, sir. I've got a question here for Omar. Will you expand eviction prevention?
Sorry, could you explain that, say that again? You cut out there.
Okay, my apologies. This is still on homelessness. Will you expand eviction prevention, for example, bridges in the community bridge? And would you name the funding source and outcome metrics for that?
Well, to comment on that, you know, Edmonton right now has 5,000 active homeless, right? And that number has doubled in just the last 2 years. Right now, what the system is doing is just cycling people from encampments to shelters to emergency rooms to jail cells and, you know, just back again, which I find it's humane and it's expensive and it really doesn't solve the problem. The proven model is actually housing first, right? And housing first, what that means is making permanent housing the starting point, not the end goal, right? So instead of forcing someone to be housing ready before getting sober or employed first, you have to meet them where they are. And you give them safe, stable place to live right away. And from there, from that foundation, you provide the wraparound supports that people actually need. Right now, cities like Medicine Hat has statistically ended homelessness. And this was back in 2021.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
you very much. Olney, what would you do to bring businesses back to Edmonton?
Well, I'm really focused on figuring out the numbers, because once I understand where we keep talking about where the money is being spent. Okay, well, once I get a good understanding working with the city manager's office of where the money has been spent and how we've mismanaged business deals that currently exist, Ice District, Blatchford, you know, you got to have an understanding of where we're at before I could go ahead and tell you, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do specifically. Allow me the next couple weeks really to fine tune and release exactly what I'm going to do step by step. To be frank, I don't want to really even give any ideas to any of the counselors here, especially the previous counselors, because they're disrespectful. And now I understand where we're at. So I could reassure all Edmontonians, you have somebody who's passionate, new voice, and who's going to look out for the best interests, who's going to review our business plan, our taxes, who's concerned with the safety of our LRT. I'll be bringing back our officers as well. And I'll be strengthening our relationship with the provincial government so that we can follow through with a lot of these projects.
Thank you, sir. Vanessa, what's your 3-year tourism strategy for Edmonton? What is your 3-year tourism strategy to grow overnight stays and downtown spending year-round?
What's my what?
What is your 3-year tourism strategy for Edmonton?
Ooh, I think we should take care of our current residents right now. I like what you're saying with regards to bringing in individuals to visit our gorgeous city, but I'd like to keep it all to ourselves until we're able to take care of everyone else that we need to. That's it.
All right, fair enough. Thank you. Micheal, I've got one here for you. What are your top 2 actions in your first year to reduce systemic barriers in city services and procurement? What are your top 3 actions or top 2 actions in your first year to reduce systemic barriers in city services and procurement?
Well, so firstly, there's a couple ways to answer that question. I think city services need to be equitably distributed across all members of our community and make sure that people have access to the things they need to live a quality of life, high quality of life. We need to make sure that transit is a reliable and safe way for people to get around, particularly working poor, newcomers, and students. So I think public transit is one of the most important things that we can focus on. I think procurement policies generally that give opportunities to people, particularly youth, newcomer youth, people who have been historically disadvantaged, are good, provide good return on that investment for our community in the long run. And I would look at our recreation centers in particular as a huge opportunity to provide increased equity of service in our city, making sure that people, and especially our young people, are able to develop healthy lifestyles, good leadership skills, positive mental health,
All right.
sports. So those are some of the things I would focus on in my first 2 years, Tay. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. Andy, I've got a question here for you. I can't find the question again.
Please, some kind simple.
Okay. Yeah, very simple question I have here for you. How will you address infrastructure concerns like street repairs, snow removal, and reliable utilities? How will you address infrastructure concerns like traffic congestion, street repairs, snow removal? How would you address such infrastructural concerns?
Of course, we have in City of Edmonton department. I know it's working in City of Edmonton almost 4,500 people. To be father of 4,500 people first, then for 2 million, and to bring them together is big job. So I've been thinking, for example, I appreciate for the owner of the building by lower them taxes or freeze for the first 4 years, but they can take care sidewalk during the winter. During the day, the area only just belong to their houses outside. Another things, some of the things supposed to be all the time under control. We have so many holes across Edmonton, and I was even so happy when I saw finally somebody tied those holes. Of course, this is my job to be sure all the holes disappear. We need to build new roads, and I will be the mayor who every day will have time to think where to find money, and where to go and find money.
Yeah.
That's idea. I'm going there for one of those.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We're running out of time, and to be honest, I don't know where 2 hours has nearly gone. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say a big thank you. You're not off the hook yet. We have 6 more minutes, and I know Councillor Cartmell has to go, and Councillor Knack is taking everyone to dinner or drinks, maybe not. Just joking. So it's time for you to present your closing remarks, and I want you to answer this question. You've got 45 seconds, okay? I'm just going to have to use a mute button if you exceed that. Do you understand that, Andy? What strategies will you use to improve public safety and strengthen police-community relations? That's the very last question. I've tried to approach this the best way I can, and we've run out of time. I should have booked you guys for 3 hours or perhaps even 4 hours. But it's time for closing remarks. We're going to start with Malik and work our way down. You got 45 seconds, sir, whenever you're ready.
Well, thank you, T, and to everyone that's here. And it's nice meeting you all. And we'll continue to do our best. I think the voters will decide what's going to happen. And I think the voters, from my experience at the door, I think I know what direction the voters might be going. I know Andrew Dag very well. It's a cool guy. I know Omar. He's a wonderful gentleman. And Rahim, great guys. And Mr. Walter, and my brother from a different mother over there. And I forgot your name. The lady. So, and Tim, and and Mr. Andrew, is that your name? I can't pronounce your Polish name there. And sorry.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you, everyone.
Omar.
Like Mr. Andrew, but it's
All right.
All right, then.
Well,
Thank you very much. I apologize.
Thank you so much, guys. Well, just closing statements here. Edmonton's my home. You know, it's where I was raised, where I built my career. It's where I'm raising my 4 kids. I've lived the struggles too many families still face, from poverty, discrimination, to working multiple jobs just to get ahead. And that's why I'm running, not for power or prestige, but to make the city work for ordinary people again. We don't need more photo ops or mega projects we can't afford. We need safe streets, affordable housing, reliable services, and a city government that respects every tax dollar. So what I bring is independence, real-world experience, and a proven record of service, not politics as usual. On election day, we have a choice, more of the same or a fresh start. I believe Edmonton's best days are ahead, and together we can build a safe, affordable, and thriving city we all deserve. It's time to shine, Edmonton. Let's shine brighter together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mar. Olney?
Yes, thank you, Ms. T, for inviting me to the platform. It's been a joy talking to everyone. I hope to encounter you and maybe talk in person, along the campaign trail. As your mayoral candidate, I'm committed to transparent, accountable leadership that prioritizes the well-being and voices of every Edmontonian. Too often, local concerns have been overshadowed or neglected at the City Hall. Public safety is a cornerstone of my platform. I hear all the concerns from Edmontonian families, and I share your concern when it comes to our transit safety and neighborhood crime. I will be implementing LRT officers along with the sheriffs, along with the staff, and we're going to take on approach like when I fly into Vancouver and I take the SkyTrain. Each platform.
Thank you, Olney. Thank you very much. We got that. Thank you. Councillor Knack?
Thanks. Quickly on safety, I think we need to continue down the path of the police funding formula and expand that to be include more proactive services. And then we have a dedicated plan to better address housing and homelessness. But for my closing remarks, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. For me, leadership means being independent and accountable, honest and transparent. It means always putting the needs of Edmontonians first. I don't have big special interests funding my campaign. I don't have a political party calling my shots. I'm accountable to you. And as your mayor, I'm going to work to protect and improve the services that make our city work, leading with integrity and focusing on bringing people together around real solutions that make Edmonton more affordable, more safe, and more welcoming. I'm going to continue to listen, to show up, and to stand up for you on the important issues that matter. And if you share that vision, I'm inviting you to join me, because together we can build a stronger Edmonton for everyone. Thank you
very much, sir. Rahim.
Thanks so much, T. It's been a great experience to be here with you. You've kicked off this huge democratic process with the first candidates forum. I know it's tough in this format to try to get as much information in as possible, but you did a great job. I will address some of the security and safety issues on transit, as well as with police, some of the solutions in my platform very soon. I want to thank all my other colleagues. A very respectful debate. I think it was an interesting first foray into this. I will leave it on this, that I know Andrew talked about a number of things just now that, for 12 years, we haven't seen. There's a lot of problems that Andrew failed to mention that have a result of the leadership that he had. And the one thing that I want to say, and Tim, you mentioned you've been the minority view in a majority of the time, but yet you supported Sohi 90% of the time in the votes for the ones you showed up, of course. And I was wondering how that puts you in a minority. It's kind of a strange thing to see. Maybe you can address that in your closing remarks.
All right. Thank you very much. Vanessa? Vanessa.
Sorry. Hi, guys. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, T. So not just in this moment, but in this city at this time in history, it's no accident we are here together. I believe that we are everything. I believe that we are everything all at once together. Like, we are all here together in this. Sorry, I don't want to read this. Let me just look at you guys. I know you guys are reading yours, but I just can't. I just want to say thank you for everyone's words. We're all on the same page. It feels like the city has the same issues year after year after year. And I think that's why we're all here as well, is because we eventually have to get through these issues, through these concerns, and really take care of our residents and our communities. So more than anything, I wish everyone good luck and a wonderful time. And I appreciate everybody. And I look forward to having drinks with everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Michael.
Yeah, thanks, T. Thank you, T. Thanks to all my fellow candidates. A great conversation today. I respect each of you for your commitment to our city. Just on public safety, very quickly, I think I just tell one quick story. I talked to a father of young teenagers a couple weeks ago who lives in a very beautiful Edmonton neighborhood, who would not let his teenage daughters use our LRT system to go one stop. And that is not a good metric. That is not a good outcome for us. We can do much better. I look at the receivership, our city center mall in receivership in our downtown because of lack of investment, lack of foot traffic, crime and safety issues. That is not a good outcome for our city. We can do much better. And together, working with Edmontonians from all different backgrounds and experiences.
All right, Mr. Walters. Thank you very much.
We can do much better, T. So thanks for having me here tonight.
Thank you so much for coming. Councillor Cartmell?
Okay, thank you, T. Thank you for the opportunity to share some ideas tonight. Quickly on the safety and security piece, I think that what we need is a redeployment of our police service into many more of our public spaces. And we need, as a city council, to very clearly support that service as an extension of the community, as a first responder that is going to figure out what is the best set of supports, what is the best set of resources to bring solutions to the actual problems in the actual moment. We've lost that ethic. And I just want to say that in this election, you have a choice to elect someone who has served 2 terms, governed through a pandemic, understands the machineries of government, and knows how to make it better. A choice to elect someone who's from here, stayed here, and built a business here, and a choice to say yes to a safer city. Really appreciate the time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Andy?
Didn't want to get cut off, so yeah.
Here for relax one day because my marriage collapsed in my mother country. And today I have family, kids, girls, and I tell you, safety. I promise myself, if the present system is not enough, our police officer need to be also saved. I promise myself we will have on the street also volunteer services like street pastor, or let's we say other type of pastors who can just walking on the street, give some good words and always inform us if you're going something else. And what I want to be sure, when people one day come home, relaxing, sleeping, after work, after shopping, when they come home and finally they shut the lights, they will be sure Mr. Mayor is there.
Thank you very much
every day.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to say a very big thank you to all the candidates, to all of you for coming out tonight, because without you, there was no forum to be had. My name is T. Adeyemo. I curate content for ladiescorner.ca. You're watching tonight on YouTube. You do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel at LCCMedia 1. And I'd like to say this on behalf of myself and the producer of this show: may the best candidate win. I wish you all the very best, and I thank you very much for your time this evening. Please have a good evening, and we'll see you next time.